So thank you for coming out this morning. What I'm going to touch on today, a couple of topics. One is people are interested in the amount of money we collect, where the money goes. So the distribution, because there's often like the other can or do process level, something called inflate people in the county as an area they have idea. So I'd like to, we have in the office and I follow them. So if you just name and
Yeah. Sarah, I think title is
great from time to the great on the back all of us do job what really complicated processes. So, that are put on it's amazing. I go to the next. Factory. It was actually in one president best. I resigned, and so in March 2020, every November, someone from the county was elected the first. So there are a few here. I know Indian electors who members. The office elected 3 million money. And we have pipe, which are of tax state people collect license. This county, Greene County license. Need a spring auctions, sewer. Taxes. There are people one like and distribute. Or well, before I go to that, our timing, our busy season begins November the 1st, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Really, November 1st, taxes are available. And through January and really into February, we stay pretty busy with taxpayers, either online, phone calls, emails, coming into 109, which is the cashier's office. Anyone care to guess, of that 346 million, as a percentage, how much is collected in December? I should say, I'm going to not stand up here and talk for 30 minutes. This will be a dialogue because I don't want you to suffer. So how much money, take it, it's a guess, how much money is collected in this?
I'd say 90.
No, not quite that much. 230, almost 232 million, about 2/3 is in December. So if you ever want to come talk to me or the staff in December, don't. Come back in January, actually February would be better. So a significant amount of work goes on, both in-house as well as the payments that come through the mail. We still have about, and Julie Ross handles the mail that comes in through the payment processing. We have about, I checked last year, about 25,000 payments or letters. Some letters contain multiple payments. 25,000 letters arrive in December. So it is a tidal wave that we obviously can't keep up. So we're trying to do a better job of not being so far behind, but just a tidal wave that happens. And of course, of that 2/3, I think most of that happens in the last 2 weeks or the last week of the month. It just cannot be, we just simply can't manage it because of the volume. So that's what we collect. Go to the next slide. As I mentioned, we're not going to go through this because this is really boring, but Chapter 52 and Chapter 139 are the two chapters in the revised statutes of Missouri that dictate the office and how the office is run for the most part. Of course, taxpayers think a lot of the decisions that are made are made my policy, which is not true. It's really driven by statute. For example, the first item talks about the office is first Monday of March. Second item, I have to keep an office at the county seat. Third item, I have to have an adequate system of bookkeeping and accounting, and the county auditor ensures I have an adequate system, and I appreciate that. And 52-230 is kind of an important one. That requires the office to mail a statement 30 days prior to the delinquent date. Taxes are delinquent after December 31st. So at the very latest, I must mail. That doesn't mean I'm putting it in the mail. I'm delivering it to the U.S. Postal Service 30 days in advance. So by November 30th, those hard copy statements have to be in the hands of the U.S. Postal Service. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Just more statutes. 52-260 talks about collections. 52-290 is kind of an important one. This was on a part of that 4.4 million. If you as a taxpayer, including me, are late, you want to pay on January 1st or January 2nd or January 3rd, you will pay what we call the base bill plus 9% penalty and 2% interest. So it can be kind of pricey. And that's why we don't want people to pay late. But again, the 9% and the 2% are driven by state statute. 52-290 talks about the 9% where the money goes. Some of it goes into, in 52-312, the tax maintenance fund, which I use to run my office. And I'll touch on that, the penalty and interest, in just a moment. Okay. This is the actual, very, very high level process. And the tax process actually lasts all year long. It begins with the assessor's office. Brent Johnson, the assessor's here. He mails out the assessment forms in January. He gets the forms back and makes any changes in his database. In my office, use the assessor's office database. That's where we get the vehicles and the values from, is from the assessor's office. So he goes through the process of inputting that information, making any change necessary. The assessor also assesses. So every year, personal property, which is cars, trucks, is reassessed. In odd years, which is what this year is, obviously, the assessor will reassess real estate. So chances are your real estate taxes are going up. There's the good news. So the assessor assesses. Taxpayers have a process of appeal in the month of July. the county clerk, and there are three offices that I should touch on. The assessor starts the process. The county clerk receives and certifies the tax levies. And I have an example of that in just a minute. So within Greene County, there are about 40 plus what I call political subdivisions that have a levy, which drive the bill that you pay. So the clerk gets involved in the levy process. By statute, the clerk must deliver the tax book to the collector by the end of October, which is what's the bill. As I touched on, I will prepare and mail statements. Statements are online, available online, beginning November the 1st. But if you like the old-fashioned way of a hard copy like this, those should be mailed out definitely by the November 30th. I'll try to improve that to send them earlier. Some people like them quickly. And of course, I collect and distribute those taxes. And actually in the process, there are a little over 40 steps that between the assessor, the clerk, and my office, we go through to create the tax book. So there are a lot of things that happen. And that's after the appeals process at the end of July completes. So we spend about 3 months, 4 months creating tax books. Okay. I talked about taxing districts. If you go to the collector's website, which is countycollector.com, in there, and this is just a partial, it shows levies from 2014 forward. So if you're curious, how much am I paying to the state of Missouri, you can see it's 3 cents per mil, and it's been that way since 2014. So it gives you an idea of where your money's going. And on each statement, I know you can't see this, but in the upper left-hand corner, it shows that you as a taxpayer, the political subdivisions that receive your taxes due, and then breaks down how much goes to each political subdivision. And some people are very, very interested, obviously, in that. In there, on a monthly basis, I distribute to 42 different political subdivisions. There are 10 cities, there are 11 school districts, and 13 fire districts, and a few odds and ends like the library. Anyone care to guess what group receives the most money of that 340? Schools, that's right. Schools receive a little over 70% of that total tax bill. Anyone care to guess of the schools, what school district receives the most money? Springfield actually gets about half of the total taxes collected, which is about $115 million, $120 million on an annual basis. So a significant amount of their budget comes through the collector's office. So again, if you are interested in how those levies go up and down, and the schools are below that, I just wanted to take a screenshot just to show you the information that's there. You just go to countycollector.com. And as I said, one of the things I've been trying to do with the office is just to inform and educate, because people have no idea how their taxes work. And I'm not talking about the details, I'm talking just at a high level. So a couple of things, next slide. If you go to that same website, on that website, there are two videos. The one in the bottom left-hand corner is about a 3-minute video. It just talks about tax process at a very high level, very simple level. The one on the bottom right, if you want to pay online, gives a step-by-step to show screenshot after screenshot on how you pay your taxes online. I think it's fairly straightforward. Most people do Amazon and who knows what else, so this is just as easy. But we do have some senior citizens who don't want to go online, or if they do, they have difficulty navigating. So we've done that. Another thing that is in process is this trifold, and it's on the corner. It's just a very simple, very colorful pamphlet that gives you the important dates that you as a taxpayer. For example, January 1st is an important date. Anybody know why? Why is January so important?
It's late.
Well, that's important. Yeah. And I've had people that come in, that was a holiday. Can I pay on January? You can pay on January 2nd. Penalty and interest. The state statute is very clear. If you don't pay by December 31st, and if you mail a letter, it's the postmark. The U.S. postmark determines whether that's a timely payment. But January 1st, you're now late. Also, January 1st, whatever personal property you own on January 1st, that is what you'll be taxed on. Missouri does not prorate taxes. So if you don't own anything on January 1st and you go out and go crazy on January 2nd, you will not owe a tax bill for that year. Again, this just touches on some of those dates, which are really important to be aware of. So if you like, please take one. If you have any comments, I'm always interested in that too. Another is we're doing something called Collector Crumbs, and this is too small to see. I realize that. This is Lacey Williams' idea. We're again, to inform and educate. So if you'd like to just follow us on Facebook of the county, these come out on a weekly basis. And this topic is on tax sale, which is most people don't really understand what that is. And I'll touch on that briefly. If you, in Greene County, if you are delinquent 2 years or more on your real estate taxes, your property will go to what's called tax sale. Fourth Monday of August at 10 o'clock in this room, so you can come and watch if you like. And again, it's driven by state statute. The purpose is my office has a responsibility to collect taxes. If someone is delinquent on their taxes, there's a process that basically raises the pressure for them to pay the taxes. So it's driven by state statute. There are a number of steps that have to be accomplished both by my office and people who are interested in purchasing a property. So this particular collector crumb goes through that, and I apologize, it's kind of small, but there are a lot of very, I look like they're squinting, a lot of very useful topics on that, because as I said, tax sale is one of those strange things that happens in every county across the state on that fourth Monday in August. Another thing we are doing is attempting to institute pay by phone. We have some senior citizens who don't like to go online. They may not even have a computer. At the end of the year, November, December, or bad weather, they don't want to get out and drive, but they want to pay their bill. They may not trust the postal system, which I can certainly understand.
Amen.
Given my experiences in dealing with the postal system. So another initiative is to work by pay by phone, so you can pick up your phone, pick up this thing, and actually pay your bill on a timely basis. So that is in process. And other than that, I left a little bit of time for questions. So what questions do you have about the collector's office? And the collector's folks can ask questions. Those very good.
Will my Pitney Bowes metered mail be honored by your postmark, sir?
That's a really good question. Some people will use Pitney Bowes or some other metered mail, put something on the envelope. Sometimes the post office will actually put a U.S. postmark on that envelope as well. Not very often. But if we receive a letter in the office after December 31st and it has Pitney's, let's say Pitney Bowes December 31st, that does not count. State statute is very clear. It's a United States Postal Service postmark.
Because that can be manipulated.
Right, the meters can be manipulated. And actually, there is a case that went to the IRS court, nothing to do with taxes, and the tax ruled that whether that is a I doubt if email, but I talked to this to educate. I encourage them, if you're going to wait to the 30th or the 31st, and there are a lot of people who do that, you really should walk into the post office, hand that envelope to the postal agent, and ask them to hand stamp it and watch them. I got more than one conversation with some very educated individuals who dropped their envelope off in the blue box on the 29th or the 30th, even the 28th. And they not understanding that doesn't matter what you do, it's that postmark. I even had one, I won't name names, is a well-known lawyer in town. Well-known lawyer in town, was on vacation in Colorado, forgot to mail the statement before he left. I think it was the 30th or 31st, so timely. Dropped it in the blue box in Colorado, did not come in, did not get it posted until January. He had pictures of the post, just a little tiny post office. He had pictures of everything, but it doesn't matter because it's all driven by that postal service mark.
Just do it on.
You know, I don't disagree. Just do it online. And I'll say there are some challenges if you do it online. If you like to wait till the last minute, And you go online, and you can do that at countycollectors.com. If you make the payment, and this is a problem within the office, we haven't gotten to a solution yet. You as a taxpayer will get what is called a courtesy receipt. If you pay debit or credit card, there are no issues. It's when you pay with an ACH, because there's no way to confirm immediately that that check is good.
Automatic. Meaning your checking account.
You're paying out of your checking account, an e-check. So we issue a courtesy receipt because we'd get our phone folks would be overwhelmed with people. Where's my receipt? I paid my bill. I want my receipt. So we issue a courtesy receipt. If the check bounces or you make a fat finger error, that payment was never received, which means you're going to be paying penalty and interest when we call you and let you know. So if you want to do that, within a couple of days, that debit should show up on your check register or in your checking account. So I encourage people. There's another story. You and I had a conversation with a well-known person in town. Paid bills online, $1 million in real estate taxes. Forgot one. Paid it the last minute. Within a couple of days, it should hit your checking account. So if it's worth avoiding penalty and interest, which it is, it's worth you checking to make sure that that check cleared your bank. We won't know for at least 5 days. And as I mentioned, given we get 25,000, not just payments, but letters could be with multiple payments, we are 2-3 weeks behind. So we won't process that check for weeks. So don't wait for us to go online and look at your account and see paid. Don't do that. It'll take weeks. Just check with your bank because it will clear within a couple of days. If you're paying online, I'm sorry, switch gears there. So always verify. Always, yes, ma'am.
So does the statute allow us to incentivize people to go online? So could you pay by the 15th of January online and save us the fees of having to process those mail?
I wish there was, but there's no way to do that. One thing some counties actually the state legislature did this is, again, by law 52-230, I have to mail one of these, but it gives people the option to opt out of receiving one and just receive a bill online. That takes a long time to process just because there are a couple of 100,000 accounts. So that's one thing I know some other counties are pursuing because it makes life a lot easier. But that option is available for taxpayers. But we haven't Greene County has not gotten to that point yet. But unfortunately, there's no way to incentivize. We just try to inform and educate if you do wait, which most people do, just understand what your responsibility is to avoid penalty and interest. Like I said, if it's a bill for your car, cars, it may be $50, $100, $200. If it's a bill for your real estate, it could be well over $1,000, $2,000.
So those penalty and fees are dictated by statute to start.
January 1st is 9% penalty and 2% interest. The penalty is only in January, so the pain goes down a little bit, but the 2% applies January through September, just 9 months out of the year. Don't know why just 9, but 9 months out of the year, and it keeps growing. It keeps going. Yes, ma'am.
Can you waive my penalties and interest?
You ever had that question answered? I'll have to think about that.
If I pay online, January 3rd.
That's kind of a daily conversation, as you will know, with me, but other folks. There's some very, very limited circumstances that penalty and interest. Conversation yesterday. Gentleman came in, 90 years old, fixed income, never received his real estate bill in the mail. You go back and look at that statute 5230. My responsibility is not to the office's responsibility, it's mail. Because obviously we have no way to tell who has or has not received their bill. So I tactfully explained that responsibility falls on the taxpayer. So if you as a taxpayer, and we communicate this too, if you as a taxpayer have not received a bill by hard copy bill by late November, early December, you need to reach out and contact us. Or you can go online because that is not a reason waive interest on this. And he owed about $500 penalty and interest on those.
But how long has he been doing this every year?
He pays at Phillips County, he pays every year on time. And it's just the very sad part is I don't have the latitude for good taxpayers. I've had that argument, not argument, but that discussion before. I pay on time for 20 years and yes, they do, but I do not have the authority to waive if you have not paid timely. So for the most part, if in statute it talks about an error means there has been some miscalculation. For example, if the bill goes out and it's $1 and for whatever reason, and they pay the $1 and we find that, whoops, and we will, whoops, got a mistake here. You, the taxpayer, need to pay an additional whatever. That is error on our part. So that's where someone can pay late, but pay timely because the error is on the county's part, the calculation error. Not they never received a bill in the mail. That is not an error, is what the statute's referring to. That's not an error. But it just, sure, that's a good question. Because that conversation, as I said, here we are in May, we're still having conversations about waiving penalty and interest. And that really goes on almost year round, as Deborah and Julie and others know. What else can I answer?
Ellen, you talked about the question was asked about incentives to pay on time. Have you ever thought about giving away autographed copies of your photo? The younger ones.
I may have to run with it. I'll take that under advisement. Take that under advisement.
I'll help you sign your signature. I'll do half.
Yeah, that works. They will never know. Now, I guess the incentive for paying on time is you don't pay 9% penalty and 2% interest. That's the incentive. And as I said, we've had some tough situations. Yes, ma'am.
Take any payments on taxes, or is there anything going through legislation that could be a possibility? I know in Washington, our taxes were twice a year. We paid them twice a year.
One of the challenges, you talk about prepayments.
Yeah.
One of the challenges is from a bookkeeping standpoint, it's very, very difficult. And the second point is, I don't know what your taxes are due until November 1st, because that tax book.
On the existing bill.
Hmm?
If the bill's already been created.
Right, or-
You have to, and can make things understand too. Conversation over whatever amount pay the amount subject to interest. Not partial payment. You need to have a bill the against November 1st. But within elections, post payment of the county, with elections, I don't want to count. You have against have you got to have a set of all this, and for not the effort to be honest. The last thing I want to do is not different. You can plan and do search. One is called your real estate in which is all you go to your state and find those two pieces of information. It takes you step to find information. Possible. Yes.
The jump that had $100 penalty payments on that.
You are not required by law to pay. Right? Not required to pay, but they're pay, he could over the this is military folks, they have a here able to pay. But wait, just because
You
Good
either
point.
have to mail a check in or come into the office.
that's a good point.
You will not get a receipt until it's paid in full. You will get an updated statement.
And by Missouri law, if you owe multiple years, you must pay the oldest year first. So if you owe 22, 21, and 20, and you want to make a payment, you can't pay 22. The system will require you to pay the oldest 20.
And you can't pay just on a specific vehicle.
It's all, yeah, it's all or none. All or none. Good question. I think I know we're out of time. We're past time. Thank you very much for your attention. And again, if you'd like to hit the post, thank you.